perspectives of different career and pathways through college and beyond of what a real career looks like, some of the strengths of them, some of the successes, some of a little bit of advice on the career path. We're going to start, we have a nice large panel here. We're going to start with Mr. Hall on this end. He's going to introduce himself. He's going to give you what he does for a living and sort of what that looks like. Rather than just tell you a title, he's going to give you kind of the skills that are involved in that position or what he does on a daily basis. So Mr. Hall, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Bean. Donald Hall. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. That means I work with families, teenagers, marriages to try to help improve relationships. I'm also a small business owner, but I private practice, so I have the skills in order to do that. I've been doing that for 25 years. We'll talk a little bit later, I took a wandering path to get there, but I would like to continue to do this for a few more years. Takes an interest in relationships. If you're the person that people come to and say, I have a problem, and I need somebody to talk to, then my profession, marriage and family therapy, might be for you.
Thank you. Are you on? Start with that. I'll get you to go.
All right, my name is Jeff Weens, and I'm one of the owners and the general manager of Weens Family Cellars, a local winery here, as well as a brewery in town. So this is my third career, believe it or not, and so basically what I do is run the whole company. So everything from finance to human resources, which is the dealing with all of our employees, and supervising it, pretty much everything. And I really enjoy it. That's what I ended up going to college for, was industrial management. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So pass on to the next.
Good morning. My name's John Pratt. I actually work for the school district here. I'm the school district's senior systems engineer. So I run the technology infrastructure of the district. My educational background is computer science. I've worked in the IT field for about 20 years. I was a programmer in industrial automation and electroplating before that in the 1990s. So I'll kind of be representing what it's like to work for a school district in education as well as the computer science realm.
Hi, I'm John Blasky, and I'm a structural engineer for Northrop Grumman Corporation. And I design and analyze aircraft that can fly themselves for 24/7, 365. Before that, I was an artilleryman in the United States Marines. And yeah. That's it.
Good morning. My name is Riley Cox. I graduated from Murrieta Mesa in 2013. I went to Grand Canyon University right after that. And now I am working for the Upper Deck Company. And we pretty much, in a nutshell, send trading cards to professional athletes and their agents, have them sign it, and I get to go travel around the world and meet all the agents and players and meet with them and get everything signed. So it's pretty cool. Thanks.
My name is Gina Ciez. I'm a licensed clinical social worker for the Temecula Valley Unified School District. I'm housed at their continuation school, Rancho Vista High School, so all day long I work with teenagers who are in crisis and are dealing with life. I went to college, got my bachelor's degree, got my master's degree at USC, and sort of came full circle because now I'm a professor at USC in the Master's in Social Work program as well.
Good morning. My name is Mary Wright, and I am a nursing director at Trinity Health Academy. I also am a nurse entrepreneur. I do own the nursing school. I started out as a CNA. I knew what I wanted to become, which I am a nurse practitioner as well. I have served in the United States Army as a nurse officer for 13 years. But currently I inspire students, mentor students to become medical doctors, nurse practitioners, RNs. I have taught at MSJC for 10 years, taught at Miracosta College for 18 years, and I have been in the nursing profession for 30 years through all the atrocities, raising a family, have 5 sons, one which is sitting in the front row right now, and he's one of my twins, and my oldest is 40. But putting one foot in front of the other is what it's all about. Staying focused once you start your career. But there's many facets to my life, but we'll talk a little bit more. But good morning and welcome to all of you.
Well, I'll start by saying good morning, Broncos, and I think I can say that because my name is Pamela Wilson, and I was one of the founding administrators of Vista Marietta High School in 2003. And my career has been in public school education. I recently retired last year after 36 years. And in that time space, I served as a high school English teacher, and I'm looking over there at my English department. Shout out, I'm sorry, we shouldn't do that. That's the Bronco way, we can do that. And found myself retiring as an assistant superintendent. Now that was not part of my vision, but there was another vision, I guess, that I was to pursue. So we'll talk a little bit more, I guess, as we go through.
Thank you. As you guys, you gave a little bit of background, but I imagine that as most of us go through school, you guys as juniors, you're trying to make decisions about college, about career. How many of you, just by a quick show of hands, are in the exact field that you thought you were going to be in when you were a high school junior? Okay, so 4 out of about 50% of them. So one of the pieces of advice for you is that we're going to take a path. You guys are going to be on a journey, and you have to be able to adapt, improvise, overcome, and just follow your heart. What I'd like to hear from you guys, a couple panel members, tell us about your path, probably the ones that went more non-traditional, that didn't raise their hand and go directly in. Tell us how that path worked out, some of the obstacles you had to overcome, and how you ended up where you are.
I was an English major at UC Santa Barbara, which, by the way, is in the top 5 of public universities. But from being an English major, I didn't take a single psychology class, not one. I didn't have any interest in it whatsoever. I taught English for a couple of years. I became a landscape gardener and worked for a couple of years. I was a church pastor for about 4 years, and then I went to graduate school for marriage and family therapy. And so I didn't get to graduate school until about 30 years old, and I already had a couple of kids to take care of. So it took a while to figure out what I wanted to do.
Thank you.
I took a rather different path. When I was your age, I had long hair and I was going to be a rock star. So some
of you can relate to that, right?
I had everything with the big hair, the makeup, the earrings, and you name it. You know, it was really cool, but I was always broke. So I did that for about 10 years, and while I was doing that, I did end up, my parents convinced me that you need to get an alternate path. And so while I was being a musician, I also went to junior college and got a degree in electronics because I wanted to learn how to fix the equipment. So it worked out pretty well, but sooner or later, after about 10 years of that, I decided I had to do something else. So I cut my hair and got a job in aerospace. It was awesome. So
it's that easy. Just cut your hair and then go to aerospace.
Yeah.
Right? Perfect.
So, and then I went on to, as I was working in aerospace, I went back to night school and took 5.5 years of night school to get my bachelor's in industrial technology, and ended up being a manufacturing engineer in aerospace. So quite a change from being a rock star to being an engineer. And then when I was an engineer, I decided I really want to go the next step and own my own company. So that was my goal, and so proceeded on that and formed a company with my brothers. So we grow grapes and make wine and have a lovely place for people to come to, and ends up, I really enjoy it. You know, I never thought I would enjoy anything but music, but what I enjoy doing is helping people. So having them come to my place and having a good time is really what it's all about. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Perfect. Anybody else?
Back when I was in high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So when I was a senior,
Where would you go to high school?
I went to high school at Vista Marietta.
There you
That's
go.
it. So I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I figured, why not join the military, see the world, and get paid to do it? So that's what I did. I signed my life away for 4 years, became an artilleryman, got to blow stuff up from significant distances, and got really good at it. But coming into my 3rd and 4th year at the end of my enlistment, I kind of had a change of heart, and I didn't, I had a great time, but I didn't really want to do that for the rest of my life. So I was, looking at my options. I could go to school, have that paid for, so why not jump into it and go be a rocket scientist? Had no idea how hard it would be, but I wanted to do it. So I went to school, got my degree in aerospace engineering, worked my ass off to get done in time, and now I work for one of the coolest companies you could work for in engineering. Obviously not traditional. I had no idea, like 8 years ago, 10 years ago, or whenever I was in high school, that I was going to be designing aircraft that could fly for as long as pretty much.
Were you in Miss Parsons' class?
Yes, I was.
Because she looked surprised too.
She looked super excited.
That's good.
But yeah, back when I was in high school, if you would have told me I'd be designing aircraft for a living, I would say I was full of it. And yeah.
Thank you. The moral of that story sounds like the American dream is if you figure out whether it's as a junior, as a senior, as a 25-year-old, or as a 35-year-old, if you decide to pursue something. I was listening at the beginning today of the college kickoff, Angela Duckworth, and she was talking about grit, passion, and perseverance. It sounds like all of those paths, they didn't even know where the passion was. It might have been to be a rock star, but he was passionate about it. Then it became to be an engineer. Then it became to be a business owner. So I think that's one of the lessons we want to teach is wherever you are, whatever you're pursuing, dive in 100%, and then the end result could be great. Can you guys tell us some of the great benefits of your career path? Again, remind them, hey, this is what my career is, and this is probably the greatest benefit. And then if there is a challenge or a struggle or a negative, because we want to be real here, what would that be also?
All right, raise a hand. How many of you guys are sports fans in here? This day and age, I should see every single. There is so many sports on TV, whether you got football, basketball, baseball, hockey, tennis, underwater basket weaving, the Olympics, all that stuff. So I did a little bit more of a traditional pathway, went to Marietta Mesa, and then I went to GCU and found sports management there. And when I graduated, kind of didn't know what I was going to do in Arizona, so I came back out here to California and found in Carlsbad the Upper Deck Company. Now, the biggest benefit to answer the question is I get to meet a bunch of professional athletes. Now, these guys are your guys' role models. These are your idols that you guys watch and listen every single day. It's a great benefit. Every day I wake up and I realize that I went to school and I got a sports management degree and I'm doing what I love. The passion that I have every single morning to get up at 3:30 in the morning to go to work, get things done, and then travel all over around the country and now soon the world. I'll be going to Sweden in a couple months And it's just, I'm only 23. This shows, guys, that, you know, if you really put your heart into what you believe that you can do when you're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, it can be in your hands in the next 4 to 5 years after that. College was the best time of my life. I wish I could go back to it right now. And my next goal would be probably to get a master's degree in sports management in due time. But right now, I'm enjoying my life, doing what I love, and each morning I get to wake up and I get to talk sports all day, every day. And a lot of people don't get to do that. And I have a lot of friends in the sports management field that are dying for my job. And it's a great feeling that I get to say that that was mine, and I worked my butt off for 4, 5, 6, 7 years to accomplish this, and I'm only 23. I still have my whole life ahead of me. So,
thank you. Someone else? Ms. Wilson?
Yes, I'd say that for those of us who are teachers, that the greatest benefit is being able to pour into all of the people who are out there and all of the people who are up here as well. And the benefit of that is being able to hear the stories of young people who grow up and become themselves and know that maybe in some small way that you had something to do with it. I embarrassed John earlier, but I was John's school administrator when he was in middle school. And to hear him tell his story now, that he's a rocket scientist and that he's doing all these wonderful things, that brings us joy. I can tell you that the people standing around here that I'm looking at now, and I know them as friends and colleagues, they love what they do. And so for teaching, for me, that is a prerequisite, that you go into that field loving what you do to pour into the lives of young people so that they are prepared to do what they are here to do. And I don't know of a greater joy than that.
Thank you. We'll do one more. Thank you. As you guys pursued your career paths, what were some of the challenges that are out there that if you could advise young people going into whatever particular field, business ownership, nursing, computer science, engineering, management, what are some of those pitfalls or challenges that are out there that you possibly had to overcome or that you at least should be aware of going into that field? Jonathan?
So I was always interested in science and technology, but my career and college path kind of meandered. You guys, everyone in here is a junior, right? Yeah. So you guys will, at this age, kind of start discovering that life happens. You get some roadblocks in your way. As you get older, that'll get amplified. I didn't finish my undergrad until I was 30. I went to many different community colleges. Got associate's degree and bounced around for a long time. The key thing really is to, once you've found your passion, just never give up. You will run into circumstances at some point in your life where you want to, and you really have to push yourself to complete, things that you're passionate about. So never give up. I mean, that's an important thing to learn.
Perfect. So, go ahead.
So I've been in this field for about 20 years now. I started really young, and I have never seen a tougher generation than yours. You guys have it tough. And I don't know why. I can't explain why. There's all these new things with social media that have made your lives easier and difficult. But one of the things that I've noticed is there's this thing called resilience. And if we can build that into you and build you up, that's what you need. That's what you need to get through all the hurdles and to get to where you want to be. So I work at Rancho, the continuation school at Temecula, and I always say life got in the way. Life gets in the way. And you gotta be able to reach out. You gotta be able to ask for help, and you gotta be able to help others, because we can't do it alone. It's a tough world. So stay on your path, ask for help, and be help to others. I always say this, nobody grows up and says, I want to be a social worker. Nobody even knows what a social worker is. However, it is the best job ever. I get to hang out with teens all day long, help them, laugh with them, learn a ton of new things. Every day I'm learning something different from you guys, whether it's language or a new name for a drug, whatever it is. You guys educate me as well. And in turn, I'm educating you. So that's where the passion comes from. I'm able to build a bridge to what I'm passionate about, which is helping others and being a people person with a career that I'm going to stay in. I'm probably not going to change.
All right, we're going to take you back a couple of years to your high school experience. Okay, a few years for some. Miss Wilson's, she's retired. This is the first time I think she's been up before 8, she said, in a long time, right, Miss Wilson? No, because you've been retired. Please give us, if you could give them a piece of advice from your high school experience of what you would do differently, okay? Looking back on your life, your career, what would you do differently in high school to get you where you wanted to be today?
Well, the first thing for me is communication, and I said this to the last group. It's being able to communicate. So that means reading. You need to be able to read, and writing. You have to be able to know how to write, because if you don't know how to write in high school, when you get to college, you're going to struggle. So you really, really need to listen to those teachers. That 3-paragraph essay, all those those 5-paragraph, whatever it is. See, I already forgot. Anyways, you need to be able to write, and you also need to be able to speak. So public speaking, it's difficult to do. I hated it, and I do it all the time now. So it's something that you have to learn how to do, and you need to embrace it, and don't be embarrassed. You just have to go out there and try it and keep going. You need to be able to write, and like I said, don't be embarrassed about what you're writing or what you're speaking. You You just need to go out and try and keep pushing it.
Great advice. Thank you. John, did you have something?
That kind of holds a lot of weight. I mean, I work in a highly technical field as an engineer. You know, it's pretty much calculus, equations, you know, all that stuff. But, you know, there are quite a few people, as smart as they can be, don't know how to write a full sentence correctly. So, yes, that is huge. Being able to communicate with your worker, you know, who you work with, trying to get, you know, what you're getting done across to your managers or whoever you work for or who you're working with is huge.
Just want to say that growing up in Marietta, Temecula area, yes, a lot of people say that we don't have a lot to do and everything around here, but you guys are, we all are very privileged to have gone to these schools. I took it probably advantage and took it for granted. I would say probably took it for granted being in high school over at Mesa, thinking that it's a brand new school. I was there when it was just freshman and sophomore. Oh, nothing's going on, nothing, you know, all the rules, so many rules over there. And Marietta Mesa is what changed my path, and I was driven through sports management there. And every single day I should have, back in high school, woke up with more of a passion and drive to actually want to go to school. And if I were to go tell my 17-year-old self back in the day, I mean, only 6 years ago, I would have said, you need to get up early, you need to go stay in class, you need to go to class early, you need to stay after class. Also, I was a two-sport athlete. When I was running cross country, instead of complaining all the time, I should have realized, wow, I'm in shape, I'm probably the best shape of my life, I'm 14, 15, 16, and I should have, the more advice I want to give you guys is that you guys need to not take this time for granted, because this is great time. If you guys go to school, get your good grades, not saying you have to get straight A's, but get your good grades and then go and get some scholarships. Telling you, I thought scholarships were the worst thing when you had to go write another 1,000 words, but you get to talk about yourself. You guys talk about yourself all the time on social media, on all that stuff. It's 1,000 words. You guys will learn in college, 1,000 words is nothing. So I want you guys to just take this advice as, be thankful that you guys actually get to grow up in these great schools. These are some of the best schools in the nation. We get awards for this, and it's pretty cool to say that I have a diploma from Marietta Mesa, and you guys soon to have a diploma from Vista Marietta.
Thank you. Can you guys, as a panel, you guys are the experts in your field, tell us the reality of getting a job, getting career placement in your field based on your degree? Because I think we have some skepticism, you know, especially as young people. They think it's going to be next to impossible to get a job because they hear, you know, you watch the news and it's hard to get a job, but we see a lot of graduates go off and find jobs. What would be the skills a boss is looking for, and what advice would you give on the reality of a career in your area, in therapy, in computer science, in engineering, in social work, in nursing? What's the reality of students getting a job in that field?
Okay, I want to start by saying in the nursing profession, there is a very high demand. I don't care what level you're on. Currently,
Can you guys hear? Can you hold it a little bit closer or try a different mic? I don't know if your mic's a little low or not.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? Okay, is that better?
That's better,
okay.
Closer, probably
all right.
a little closer.
Currently, okay, perfect. Currently, there is a very high demand in the nursing profession. At Trinity Health Academy, we also are partnered with many different organizations, companies, to pair you up with jobs when you graduate on the CNA level. That's the basic level where you do bedside nursing, you bathe patients, feed patients, inspire patients, when people are at their lowest. All of us will be patients one day, and we want to be the best that we can. If you have a heart to become a nurse, a medical doctor, a nurse practitioner, a PA, CNA is the place to start, or the level to start. You can be 17 years of age. How many of you are 17? Okay. So in the summer, we also offer a class in June, and we do often have students from high school, from the local high schools, who actually take the 30-day program, which will be the catalyst for becoming a nurse or medical doctor. There are jobs everywhere when you look on the internet. So when you go to for your interviews, you want to stand out from the rest because there is a lot of competition. Connecting with others. We stay I'm very connected in the community with nurses, with doctors, and if you do a good job in the program, then you will have a job waiting for you. I have about 20 students in the program right now. Where they are training at, it's about 12 days in theory or didactic and 15 days of clinical. So as soon as you are finished with your clinical rotation, you take a state competency test and prove that you can be a competent CNA or a nurse, and there's a lot of work out there. So you have to be flexible, you have to be loyal, you need to be dedicated. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be different. Some of us think that, because our friends are not compassionate about what they're doing, but your parents expect the best of you. Listen to your teachers, listen to your counselors. They have taken the journey. I've been on the journey for 30 years, and I'm passing the torch and sharing all of my expertise from being an Army nurse to being a professor in college, which I didn't plan on teaching, but it found me. And I thoroughly enjoy it, and you can do the same. So tell yourself positive, find your best attributes and let them shine. So again, have a heart, establish rapport once you start working with patients, and know that you can do it. If the person sitting next to you can make A's and B's, then you can do it too. So again, put your best foot forward and go with your heart.
Thank you.
Well, I do want to put a plug in, if I could, for teaching as a profession, and I'll tell you why. Very soon in the state of California, there's going to be a huge number of teaching professionals who are retiring. And so our profession as a whole is going to need to be replenished. And so I say to any and all of you there who have it in your mind that you think that you would do well in the teaching profession, to pursue it. Within the profession, obviously, there's the classroom instruction. You see that every day, 7 periods a day, as you go from place to place and you meet those people. But then outside of the classroom, there are other opportunities. I came into teaching not thinking that I was going to pursue any other opportunity, but like Mrs. Wright has said, it seemed to have found me, and I became a school administrator. And then from being a school administrator, I became a director and ended as an assistant superintendent. And so the pathways are plenty in that regard. The last thing I'd say is 2 daughters, both are graduates of the Murrieta Valley School District. One, a Bronco, class of '07, the other from Murrieta Valley High School. And both now are classroom teachers. One, a high school English teacher, and the other, right here in Murrieta, is a special day class teacher at Avaha Elementary School. They thought, going through all the years of schooling with me being a teacher and administrator, I'll never be a teacher, I'll never be a teacher. I tell you what, now they love it. They have found their joy. They have found what they do well without really even trying that hard, their talent, their giftedness, and they enjoy it so much. So I just wanted to put that shout out there for the profession of teaching.
Thank you. Last question before I open it up to questions from the audience. What are the realities of getting a job? I think for especially the younger people who just came out of school, what is the reality? And those of you that are in a position to hire, what's the reality?
I could at least speak for the engineering field. When if you decide you want to go into engineering and you go to school for, aerospace, mechanical, chemical, whatever engineering, that engineering degree isn't just a free pass to a job, just to be real with all of you. The sooner you get started in the field, the better. So if you decide you want to go engineering, go be a freshman at wherever, go to a school that is located where you would want to work. So like for me, I went to San Diego State, and that's kind of like the heart of aerospace. You have General Dynamics, General Atomics, Northrop Grumman, all these engineering companies. Go to where you want to work. Start early when you're a freshman, find those internships, try to get your foot in the door as early as possible. Just knowing the statistics for my class in itself, so I graduated a few years ago, we started as a freshman class of 150 aerospace engineering students. Only 45 of us finished with a degree, and even a smaller percentage of us actually got a job in the field. So but it's all of that, at least all of us that got jobs right out of the door, we started early. We started our freshman year. We started, working towards those internships, and, started, pushing into those companies that we wanted to work for early. It's, at least in engineering, it is fairly competitive. So, just to kind of give you the other side of the coin, the earlier you start, at least in engineering, the better off you'll be.
What do you think gave you some of the advantages what advantages did those 45 have over the 100 that didn't finish, or the 45 that got a job? What do you think set them apart?
I mean, like I said before, starting early, if you know where you want to work, you want to design aircraft, or you want to build bridges, go to networking events, find out what local chapters. So I'm part of AIAA. It's a nationwide, I guess, association for people in the aerospace industry. Join one of them, those clubs, be a member, get involved with, the community of workers that you want to, or that path that you want to pursue. I mean, you can have the best grades, you can have a 4.0, but if you don't go out there and network, meet people, and get involved in the job that you want to do, then it's, you could have the best grades in the world, but you won't land that job. Meeting the right people, getting involved, that's huge.
So that goes back to that communication piece that we talked about earlier. Being able to communicate, market yourself, and not be afraid to go knock down a door and keep going back. Because I think one of the key things that I learn when I always hear this, and I think about my own path, I'm non-traditional like many of you. I'm a first-generation college student. No one in my family that I even know has a college degree except for me. No one. Sister, parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, I'm the only one. And my degree is in something completely different. I was an organizational business management major. And then somehow I became an English teacher and did that, and then I became a high school administrator. And it kind of goes full circle because that organizational business studies kind of correlates a lot with what I do. But I know that I took that windy road, but a lot of it was the resiliency. I keep hearing networking, giving back, wanting to do something that you're passionate about. Those are the important things to get. You have to get excited about something, and if you love doing what you do every day, it makes it really easy to go to work. And I think get the doors open, it's that resiliency. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, go knock on doors to get your foot in. And realize that I bet most of you didn't start at the top, correct? Most of you started somewhere, and you had to actually work and get your hands dirty every day, and then you moved up and you achieved success. I think in this new generation, you guys, you see these awesome careers, but it's the end career. Think about where the beginning career is that's going to get you to the end. You don't just start at the end. You got to kind of go on that path. Okay? With that said, do you guys have questions specifically for their careers, for engineering, for computer science, for counseling, for nursing, for education that you would like to ask of the panel? Crickets? Come on, people. We have 300 of you. Go ahead, you ask it, and I'll try to repeat it over the mic. Okay, he said you gave some advice to try if you know you want to work in a particular area, like San Diego's a hotbed for engineering or aerospace or technology. How do you figure out where that is, if it's out of state or other places? What advice would you give of how to find that ideal place of where the industry's hot, I guess?
Google. To be straightforward, it's really just at least for me, I guess I can explain how I did it. You know, as I was finishing my degree, I was like, okay, I know I want to build aircraft. I want to do that sort of thing. You know, it's kind of simple as a Google search. You know, where are all the aerospace companies? Where are they based out of? And that's kind of how it was fairly straightforward to get to that. Does that answer your question?
I think to expand on that, you want to find schools nowadays that not only have industry around it, but that can offer internships, because a lot of people, I know working with a lot of graduates here, a lot of them that got internships in a field that was required at their school, they ended up leading to a job or a profession. So as you're researching schools to apply to, look at what they make their juniors and seniors do. Do they give them practical field experience, internships? Because that's where you make connections. I can tell you my very first job in business, I had to do an internship. I went to Cal State Fullerton. I had to do an internship in the marketing field. That company hired me, gave me my first job. Why? Because as an intern, I was free labor, but I worked my tail off, made a good impression, a job happened to open up, and they hired me right out of college. So I think that that's similar to working in that area.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to build off that. You know, if you do go to San Diego State, UCSD, a lot of the research that they do at those universities are, you know, either grants from the government, NASA, my company Northrop Grumman. They, you know, not only internships but doing research at those schools. You know, work on real life problems that arise in engineering, and you know, they pull from those universities. Those companies work with the universities to solve those problems, and that's kind of like a really, I wouldn't say easy way, but a good way to get your foot in. I mean, I was fortunate enough to where, you know, I worked with General Atomics. I worked at Northrop Grumman as an intern between my senior year, sophomore and junior year. And you know, you do well enough, you meet the right people, and you do a good job, you put all your effort into it. You know, like I said, I was fortunate enough to walk out of college with an offer in hand. But that's not without saying that it took a lot of hard work to get to that point.
I think it's also doing your due diligence and trying to find fields. Kip Cochran, a gentleman that was in here earlier, he mentioned something that I know is out there. 70% of the jobs or careers a lot of you are going to do haven't even been invented yet. The world is ever changing, so you need to go out and do the things that you're excited about and be willing to try new things. I know in fields like education, it makes sense if you want to be an educator, you want to go be a teacher, look at the Cal State system. They have the greatest educational system out there. Nursing's highly impacted in California, but there's a lot of great nursing schools all over the country that are getting immediate job placement. Okay, you have to be willing to do your research and put in the time to find the right locations that give you the best opportunity. Other questions? Be good to have one more or two more questions, and then we can wrap up. Yes, ma'am. What are the steps to get into to be an RN?
I want to start by saying it will take about 4 to 6 years total, because you have to do your prerequisites first, which I encourage all nursing students to become a certified nursing assistant, because when you apply for the programs, it's based on points, it's based on your GPA, is very, very important. And the way that you deliver your care in your externship, all of that's looked at. Scoring A's, B's in your science courses, sitting down talking with your counselor about your journey. I started out as a CNA myself, and then the next step was taking the prerequisites. Now, the programs are impacted. Don't give up. You can apply at several colleges once you have met all the prerequisites, which takes about a couple of years to do. But don't look at the time that it takes. Take baby steps, take it semester by semester, dedicate yourself, surround yourself with other nursing students, talk with your professors, such as myself, about the career path and how to stay on track. So if you are very interested, start early. Start fresh out of school or during the summer session. Taking the nursing assistant program, it's highly recognized when you do apply for an RN program. And having your science courses like microbiology, physiology, as I stated, they can be impacted, but don't give up. You can still take other courses while waiting to be accepted into the program. So
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys were a great audience. We want to thank our panel for spending time with us today. As you guys filter out, if you have any individual questions, you can run up and ask a quick question. We get a little break here, I think.